Hey YouTube, it's Thomas with Ventrilo.org. Now, if you just completed my last tutorial on how to install Ventrilo, we are now doing how to set up the client. So this is client setup. Alright, first things first. You want to go ahead and create a username. So what you're going to do is I'm going to go with test. Now this is going to be your actual username here itself. So once you have your username created, up here at the top you'll see your username. And there's several things that you can do. You can type in your description here. You can type in, your work, a variety of things. The phonetic here is pretty much, for example, whenever you type in something and you can actually hit play, that's what it sounds like to other users that's already on the server. So when you join the server, it'll say test has joined the server.
Test, test, test.
As you can hear that. So that's what it will sound like when someone joins the server. So we're going to go ahead and hit OK. Now we're going to go to the server setup. Okay, you're going to want to go ahead and click the arrow here, and since there's no servers here already, you want to hit new, and we're going to do a test here for this server. Now the name of the server, it really doesn't matter. Some people say, oh, it does. It really doesn't. A clone basically allows you to make a copy of the information that's already here, and delete allows you, as you know, to delete it. Now the host name and IP address, it could either be a subdomain, which could be, for example, basically it's like a URL, with some numbers or letters in it, or it could be an IP address. Most hosting companies most people will give out subdomains and not actual IPs. We're going to do an IP here, and I'm just going to copy this over here, and this is my server IP address. Now, every server has a port number, so you need to know your port number as well, and this is my port number here. We're going to go ahead and pop that in there. Now, the password itself, this is to be left blank when you first join a server. Now, some servers have a global password, which requires, if anyone comes on the server, they must know the global password. And some people, prefer that on their servers. In other hands, there is no global password. You leave it blank, and you go ahead and connect directly to the server. If you actually go into a server and let's say the server admin decides to make you an account, well, you're going to have to come back here and go back up the server, and you're going to have to come back here where it says password, and you'll put in your username password right here and hit OK, and then you'll be able to connect. The default channel is when you first join the server. That basically shows you, where you come to in the server. Most servers will set like a default channel where you come into, but you can sometimes fill it out yourself. It all depends on how the server is set up. Different servers have their settings up different ways, so it all depends. It's set page requests from other users. Basically, people can page you, and that can actually become quite annoying. You can actually user-to-user conversation. That is normally binds and things of that nature. But for example, if you're in a private chat, someone wants to do a user-to-user communication, things like that. But I think that's also allowing the people to speak with you actually on the server. You also have allow set private request. If you're in a full screen game, you don't want it to be minimized. Most likely you'll want to come here and uncheck this so someone can't private message you while you're in game, causing your game to minimize. So that's something that you should know. Allow others to record my conversation. I prefer having that unchecked because people, sometimes will record you on Vent and you don't want them to record your conversation. I like to keep that unchecked. And show login name and remote status request. Now, some servers allow this, other servers don't. Sometimes you have to have this checked. Some of these settings have to be checked by default. But it all really depends on the server. Once that's taken care of, you hit OK. Now, the binding features, really depends more upon the actual server itself. And, that is, truly, it really depends. You can target certain individuals, you can target people, and things of that nature, but it really depends. Most of the time, I just don't use these. If I'm a server admin on the server, I'll use it because I can target all the channels and send out, like, global messages. I can talk to everybody on the server at once, even if they're not in my channel. So that's some of the things you can do. Now we're going to come over here to the actual setup button, and I'm going to talk about the setup. Most of the time, you're going to want to use play keys. You're going to want to use a push to talk hotkey, and that basically means when I have my left control button here set. So pretty much, think of it as a CB radio or a walkie-talkie. You press and hold the button, and you release. You talk while you hold the button down and you release it. Some people prefer voice activation so they can just talk. The problem with that is if there's an echo on the back end, it causes problem for other users. It echoes it out, and it's very annoying. So this is one of the things that you want to do here. You have a variety of other features here, but you would mainly want to have this here checked. As you can see here, it says use push to talk hotkey. When you check that, it'll allow you to fill in the hotkey itself. You can do a test down here, and this will just test your quality. So I'm just going to hit test here. And pretty much you have to set your codecs. I'm just going to use GMS here. The GMS codec is more for whatever. Some servers use GMS, other servers use Speaks. If you're using a Macintosh, you have to use Speaks. It doesn't matter, if you're on Windows. But most servers prefer GMS. Some servers prefer Speak. But I like Speaks on my server just in case a Mac user would happen to come on or someone's running a Mac. So we're just going to go ahead and put this in here. You would want to use a higher quality codecs, but this is just to test your microphone, so I'm just going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to click test. Now I'm going to press my control key. Testing, testing, okay, testing, testing. And it will play back to you, and that way you can test your microphone, make sure your microphone's working okay. So I'm going to go ahead and unclick that, and we're going to go on. You have your events here, and this is pretty much like when your wave file, like sounds and things like that, when people come and go and things like that. So this is something that you can do. User switch channels. Some people will actually disable some of these features. It's like nothing, things like that. So there's no sound and things like that. Hear the sound effects. Some people will actually disable this. And user switch channels. If that's disabled, if someone comes in your channel, you don't hear them. And it's also good to do this on, disable these on public servers, because people come in and they spam on public servers. Having these features disabled actually helps resolve that. Your bindings kind of goes back to your binding features and things of that nature. Your speech is actually the server, talk when it talks to you and things like that. You can do your filters, like your text filters in the server. You can do things like that. Filter out different things. But your networks. Enable auto reconnect. If you get disconnected to the server, it'll automatically reconnect you, and things like that here. Your miscellaneous is different things you can change, like the color of the background. Like for example, if I want to change the background color, then I can do that. I can hit add custom color. I hit OK. So you can really kind of change, client up a bit here, and things like that. Your ranks, stuff like that, you want to keep that in there. Your overlay. More features. There's so many features here. To be honest with you guys, most of this stuff is crap that you'll never ever need to mess with. You can really play around with it if you want, but most of this is just completely non-necessity. The main thing is your voice here and your control keys and stuff like that, and your overlay here. No, not that, but your miscellaneous, like changing that, like override Windows callers there. You can do that. So for example, remember we changed that? I hit OK. You can see the whole client just changed. So that's something that you can actually play around with as well. One of my favorites is to do the black. I kind of like the black here. And sometimes I'll just do this here, and then I'll actually do the background, and then I'll do the red. I'll just do this here, click that. I like the black and the red. I think that's probably one of the coolest. See, I like the blood red client like that. That's a pretty cool one. The downside is like the text and stuff in the bottom and stuff down here, you can't see it. So, it's not so great to really do that. But it all depends on what you want, what you like. But this is just another tutorial down, I guess. But anyway, YouTube, hopefully this helped you out, and this is how you set up your Ventrilo client. Peace out, YouTube.